Hello, it's Craig here with a comprehensive guide on guard boost to stamina damage conversion, and a discussion on the topic of whether or not shield pokes are still OP in patch 1.08 after the shield poking nerf. Prior to 1.08, shield poking was most certainly OP, as it was easy to be good at guarding by simply holding a fingerprint shield, or for that matter, even a lighter grade shield like the Haddock trees. I pretty much needed to rename my character in case I needed to test something while shield poking. To start, I am going to introduce this shield stamina damage calculator I made for this video. This top layout should be pretty familiar if you've been watching my weapon breakdowns or used Cryptid's gear calculator. I will link this in the description down below, and all other resources can be found on my Discord also in the description down below. First, you select the shield over here, and you will see the guard stats on the right. But the main point of this spreadsheet is on the bottom, where we convert guard boost into some easier to understand numbers. The base stamina damage is simplified. There are actually factors like weapon upgrade level that would affect stamina damage. However, if you're just looking at the stamina damage given on the MV sheet, it will tell you that this assumes max upgrade. If you're not using max upgrade, it's fine. You can easily extrapolate from using these numbers. I've made 3 slots for this calculator so that you can easily compare multiple shields. The brass shield and the fingerprint shield are the heaviest medium and great shield, and also have the highest guard boost in their category. As for the final shield in my comparison, I've selected the Haddock Crest Great Shield. This is because medium shields are relatively similar in weight and guard boost as far as potential replacements for brass shield goes. On the other hand, the fingerprint stone shield is much heavier with a much higher strength requirement. Therefore, the difference when you do have to replace it is quite significant and worth discussing. Oh, by the way, as per usual, try not to trust the wiki too much. I have been correcting stuff, but it's difficult to win this never-ending war. A shield's guard boost increases as you upgrade it and differs from infusion to infusion as well. But the wiki is inconsistent when it comes to showing the base guard boost, as shown here, where the fingerprint stone shield has its maximum guard boost, but the 2 other shields have their base guard boost. There are also small shields to consider, but if you're shield poking or even just guarding, I'm just going to put it plainly that medium shields are far superior for only a tad bit more weight. Anyway, the final stamina damage formula used is this, which probably means nothing to you, and you don't have to worry about it. I will explain things clearly. The main takeaway I wish for you to have is that there are 2 major components. One that deals with reducing incoming stamina damage, and the other one that deals with modifying guard boost, otherwise known as stability. First, let's take a look at what happens when we have the Great Shield Talisman equipped. The Great Shield Talisman modifies the stamina damage received portion. As you see here, I've written out the modifiers next to it for you to more easily understand what is going on. Essentially, you straight up take 20% less stamina damage. This was, in fact, not always the case. Back before the Great Shield Talisman was changed in patch 1.07, the Great Shield Talisman modified your guarding weapon's guard boost. While proportionally, you do take 20% less stamina damage. The given description in the patch note that effects on shield with lower guard boost are increased, while the effects of higher guard boost are decreased, is technically true, because in raw stamina terms, you are mitigating more stamina damage on lower guard boost shields. Just remember that this is still just 20% less stamina damage of whatever you're taking, whereas a modification to guard boost tends to favor higher guard boost shields in general in percentage terms. Regardless, the Great Shield Talisman is quite a good talisman for anyone using shields to guard, as maximum stamina is hard to come by, and a reduction to stamina damage taken essentially means that you have more maximum stamina, and also stamina regeneration, as each point of regenerated stamina is effectively more efficient. Therefore, if guarding is a big part of your gameplay, I highly recommend keeping the Great Shield Talisman equipped at all times. With that in mind, I'm going to have the checkbox of the Great Shield Talisman ticked for the remainder of the video in order to give you the most realistic stamina damage received. Next comes the other buff section, which is basically shield grease, scholar's armament, or the barricade shield. Barricade shield actually comes in 2 types, the small and medium shield, and the great shield. Do select the right type for your shield. These are the multipliers. Like the Great Shield Talisman, these buffs reduce incoming stamina damage, which is the first half of the formula. These buffs are also mutually exclusive, meaning that if you have one up, applying another instance will overwrite the previous buff. Let's use the Scholar's Armament as an example. Like the Great Shield Talisman, you see here that the stamina damage is reduced further by another 35%. And yes, this reduction is multiplicative with the Great Shield Talisman, so it works in the same way. A thing to keep in mind is that these are multipliers, meaning that the smaller multiplier, the more stamina damage you're reducing. This does indeed mean that the Barricade Shield reduces more stamina damage for medium shields than great shields. Finally, with the basic stamina damage calculations out of the way, we have the new changes of patch 1.08. I've already given you guys the multipliers in my patch 1.08 update video. However, you probably want a more concrete idea on how it translates to actual numbers. Unlike the previous multipliers, the shield poke multiplier does not directly affect the stamina damage received. Instead, it affects your effective stability, which is the second part of the formula. As previously mentioned, older calculations for Great Shield Talisman and Barricade Shield also affected this, which was why shields with high stability were even more OP back in the days. Anyway, back to the present. Let's tick this checkbox to see the new effective stability and the amounts of stamina damage this corresponds to. What you should immediately be able to tell is nerfing the second part of the formula, which directly corresponds to the effective stability, nerfs shields with higher stability more than shields with lower stability. You can compare the percent increase in stamina damage taken from the two great shields, which both have their stability reduced by 30%. Combined with the fact that great shields are nerfed even harder than medium shields during shield poking, this makes some of the best shield poking shields pre-patch 1.08 much weaker. You can see that both the fingerprint and the Halic tree are only a bit stronger with my current parameters. The cutoff is at the Eclipse Crest Great Shield, which has 75 guard boost when fully upgraded. You take about the same amount of stamina damage while shield poking versus a brass shield. Using any great shield with less guard boost for shield poking will be shooting yourself in the knees. Do remember that the Eclipse Crest Great Shield has the advantage of more resistance as well versus the brass shield due to its passive. Oh, by the way, this percentage increase in stamina damage holds even without the Great Shield Talisman and the Scholar's Armament buff, as they are multiplicative on the stamina damage. With all of the calculation functions explained, allow me to show you an insight you might not have thought of before I end this video. I will leave the actual build optimization and pointers for shield poking for part 2 of this video. Remember the Barricade Shield calculation? If we combine that with shield poking, we actually see that the brass shield takes even less stamina damage than the fingerprint shield. Yes, with Barricade Shield up, the brass shield, which is a medium shield, will take less stamina damage than the fingerprint shield. Yup, this isn't a joke nor a mistake. Furthermore, the Scholar's Armament and Shield Grease work better than the Barricade Shield for Great Shields, since they reduce stamina damage taken by 35% instead of 30%, and also last a lot longer. But even then, the brass shield with Barricade Shield still comes out on top in terms of stamina damage taken when shield poking. Of course, the great shields still have better guarding capabilities in terms of elemental damage taken, but they also weigh a lot more with a lot higher strength requirements. And obviously, without shield poking in the mix, great shields still do better. I do, however, think that the Barricade Shield can use a buff on the great shields, as it is way too weak now. I suggest anyone using a great shield to just get a staff and cast the Scholar Shield spell, which requires little investment and works a lot better. Therefore, if anyone from Software is watching, I think a 0.7 to 0.6 buff is very fair. And to help you change this, in case you weren't on the department taking care of special buffs, it's in the UNK2 column. And to answer the overarching question of this video, no, I don't think shield poking is OP anymore. After multiple changes made across the last few patches, like making kick break any guard, increase to stamina damage, and nerfing shield poking, I think shield poking is in a much more balanced spot. Strong? Sure. but it takes a lot more optimization to work well, which is why in the next video, I'm going to put the theory taught in this video into practice and present to you two vastly different variations of shield poking build to show off what an optimized shield poking build looks like and how to utilize it well. Like and subscribe so you don't miss it. Happy New Year, everyone! Please buy my book in the description down below to support the channel. It will also allow you to request a topic from me. Krite, signing out.